Welcome to our masterclass. Um, today we are talking about how the topic is monitoring Lightning nodes and optimize them for um, performance. Thank you. I'm missing words. It was too much talking today. Um, so and um, so my name is Bastian Feder. I'm um, one of the co-founders of lipa. I go to the next one, then you can talk again. That's fine.
That's good.
I'm one of the co-founders of lipa. Lipa basically is a Lightning service provider for Bitcoin payments. So we make it very easy to for businesses to accept Bitcoin within minutes, and also we now tackling the other sides, providing a self-custodian Lightning wallet, and there also make it very easy for on-ramping people or labs into the Bitcoin network.
Good. I'm Adrian. I'm CTO and co-founder of lipa. My background is in engineering. I've always been a software engineer, and this is also why I'm the CTO of this company.
So let me move forward. So what are we talking about today? I already said we want to do performance optimization. To get you into the topic, who's running his own nodes? Who has experience doing Lightning? Okay, that's rather technical. That's awesome. So today we want to see what type of nodes are there in the wild. We want to see if there are some matrices we can, which are important for a node to be run successfully, and then what methods are there to either optimize the node in terms of connectivity and so on. So for now, the node types.
Before we can talk about how we want to optimize our nodes for performance, we first have to talk a little about what kind of nodes are out there. Of course, we're only talking about Lightning nodes here, but still within the Lightning network, we can have several different kind of nodes. Does anybody have an idea what kind of nodes we could distinguish?
Routing, receiving and sending, so merchant.
Routing.
Routing merchant.
Merchant, yes.
The other one, the opposite of merchant would be the one that only sends, never receives.
A wallet node, yes. Awesome.
Too late.
Any other opinions or any other ideas? Good. That's you basically summarized it. Yeah. First of all, we also see those three different kinds of nodes. First of all, there's certainly the merchant node, which we as lipa also have some experience with, since we, as mentioned, also started with a payment processing solution for merchants. So when we have a merchant node, what is important and what we have to focus on is certainly inbound liquidity and connectivity. Any additions?
I mean, so what do we mean with connectivity? As on the receiving end, you want to have the best connection to all the wallet providers, the major wallet providers in the network, like Wallet of Satoshi, Breeze, Async with Phoenix, and so on. So the main idea as a merchant node is like you pick your peers in terms of who has the best connectivity to the payers, to the people who are paying with this wallet. Yes.
Then also mentioned the routing node. There we are just in between of a path, and we just want to receive a payment in order to forward it to the final recipient at some point. And there, general liquidity is certainly a topic, so not only inbound but also outbound liquidity, connectivity as well. And we have to be more picky when it comes to which peer that we select, but we will come back to this later. Then, of course, the spending node or wallet node or whatever you want to call it, it's basically the node that we operate in order to be able to send some sats somewhere else. So imagine you run your node at home. You don't run a route. You just want to have it because you want to be self-custodial. You just want to have your node there up and running and have it accessible from everywhere where you are, just to spend some sats. Again, peer selection is something we might have a look on. When it comes to liquidity, it's more the outbound liquidity, which is interesting because, as mentioned, you want to spend those sats.
What do you think would be peers to be connected, or worthwhile peers to be connected if you're running your own node as a spending node? Have any idea who would what would be the most preferable node to be connected? Speak up.
Wallet of Satoshi?
Probably. So what purpose why would you connect to your node to Wallet of Satoshi?
You'll be able to reach more other nodes because probably everybody is connected to that wallet.
Even like merchants node would be connected to this wallet, no? So
I guess
if you would be spending with your own node at the merchant using a payment processor, the payment processor has a motivation to be connected to Wallet of Satoshi.
I guess.
Yes, awesome. Yes, there's one.
But I believe that at this point in time, if you're not like using the channels every day, like big players such Wallet of Satoshi will close the channel on you if you are like inactive for a while. So that might be one of the issues.
I mean, there's even another issue. You would probably, as a personal node or as a spending node, you would probably not have the funds. You probably don't have the funds to connect. Would you?
I'll do.
To connect to Wallet of Satoshi because they have a minimum amount of Satoshis. Currently, I guess it's like 7.5 million Satoshis you would have to be on your side. You would have on your side to be open the channel to them. I mean, even Lipa at the moment has a minimum of 5 million Satoshis for a channel opening. So, yes.
Shall we move on?
So let's have a look. I mean, we already started. Come again? What's the answer? I mean, the answer is like find routing nodes which are very well connected, which have not like these high limits to be connected to. And also, depending on the network you are paying, could be the node to your peer, to your friend, to your colleague, have a direct channel so you can send payments back and forth. Yes.
So basically, as it's very often the case, the answer is it depends.
Sure. Yes. Now there's no right answer. Okay. Talking about metrics, we already said that for the different types of nodes, for the different purposes of the nodes, there are always a kind of a peer selection. So, what metrics or what parameters you should have a look at when you want for choosing those peers. One of them is, and we will only probably talk about 4 or 5 of them, and then there are much more. Is the betweenness centrality rank. So what does this mean? It basically means it's a number which will be determined from the idea how many hops you have to your to the recipient node, so to the node who receives the payment. So the shortest path brings the highest rank. Meaning, if you have, this is why a merchant node always tries to be like directly connected to the wallets, the nodes of the wallet providers, because then there is basically a no-hop transaction, which is always free and which is always fast. And within the Lightning Network, you want to have fast connections and short connections to be very reliable, to have reliable payments. A second one would be, any questions to that? Sorry. Okay, so far not. And second one would be the hubness centrality rank. Think of a node which could be which acts like a gatekeeper. So they have a lot of connections, and if this node goes offline, those connections probably are not available or will not be available anymore. And if this node is in a connecting point between two networks, those two networks will be shut off from each other. So the higher ranking nodes here are those who have the highest connectivity rank in that point. So connecting to a node which has a high number in this rank is always a good thing, because then you basically split the connectivity or get the split between those networks down, because you have connections in both networks and connection to this hub. Anything to add? Okay, awesome. Questions? Good. Yeah, I think it's. Then it's the closeness and the hopnet centrality rank. This is what I was talking about earlier. As if you're a merchant node, you really want to have the direct connections to the nodes who are you are receiving most of the payments through. So here is the higher the rank, the fewer the hops in between you and the receiving node. No, the first one is the path, the shortest path, meaning here's that.
The first one is basically if you take an arbitrary path from the network, and this is the closest, the shortest path from A to B in this case, and the more of those shortest path your node is part of, the higher is your betweenness centrality. And the closeness centrality is more about how short the path is for you to reach another node. So here you're at the within the path, and for the closeness centrality you're just at the end of the path.
Cool. Then those three which are more, I think, more obvious. We were already talking about this in the intro. The liquidity itself. So if there's no inbound liquidity, you cannot receive any payment. And also, if there's no outbound liquidity, you cannot send something, which is quite obvious. So there's always, depending on the type of the node, there's always a trade-off, which part of liquidity you want to assure. For a routing node, it's basically like you want to have balanced channels. For a merchant node, you want to have a lot of inbound liquidity. And for a spending node, you probably would like to have all the outbound liquidity you can have to be able to spend your satoshis. Then the Lightning Network itself, it does also some ranking in itself in that terms that the higher the uptime of your node is, the more reachable the node is, the more reactive the node is, that a preferred routing walks will be done over your node, rather than if your channels are inactive most of the time, the network will know this and will probably not route a payment over your route, even if it's now online, other than a node which is always responsive, always has a good network connectivity in terms of latency and so on. I mean, we always have there's always the discussion about should a node be in the Tor network, should it be in a VPN, or should it be ClearNet? And with with Tor, definitely there is a lot of more latency than if the node is in the ClearNet.
How long does the network remember such a situation where it tried you and you were down and therefore it might not try the next time. Is it like forever, or is there some kind of I'm okay if you're up again and I'll try you in a day or so again? How is this working?
Again, it depends, because it depends on the corresponding node and the node implementation, how they manage this database when they decide to clean it up, when you as an operator say or decide how to handle such situations, how to blacklist and how not to blacklist.
So it's in your decision as a node operator how you act in such cases? Or is it on the Lightning implementation?
It's on the implementation.
Exactly. Good. So let's go on. Let's have a look at some channel maintenance stuff. Ring of Fires. Who has heard of Ring of Fires before? Yeah, that's not what this slide is about. Kind of.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, interesting.
So that's good.
Actually, I think a website called Lightning Network Plus.
Yes, good you mention it. QR code is over there.
Where you can go and you just, with other people, you can create a ring of fire.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea here is basically to connect also socially as a group of node operators to coordinate channel balances, to say, okay, we want to build a so-called ring of fire which is balanced in that way, and then whenever this ring, those channels get imbalanced, then you try to, within your ring, to rebalance in that way that you achieve the states that you wanted to have. Of course, here it's very important to work closely with selected participants. That also is, well, that's basically what you meant before, also with a peer selection. Since we have to coordinate as operators among each other, we have to connect ourselves, for example, on Lightning Network Plus.
Is this public information, how many rings of fire there are, and you can then as a node operator say, I want to join you, and you make an application, or how does this work?
The idea here is, I mean, the Lightning Network Plus shows you like a lot of rings, but once a ring is formed, it is conclusive. So once it's this is why you actually can apply for a participation, and then there are rings of fire with 500,000 satoshis in a channel, with 7.5 million satoshis, even with like 1 or 2 Bitcoin channels, depending on how on the participants. But it's always you apply before. Just click on it. Always apply before the ring is formed, and then there is usually like a social contract which will say, okay, I provide this channel for this amount of time. And with that, as Adrian already said, there's a ring coordinator who does all the channel openings and so on, and sets up the channel coordination. In that terms that an auto balancing happens in between and so on. And you always agree on fees within the ring beforehand, which is usually nothing, but there at some point the ring of fire operator wants to have some satoshis, and then this contract will be closed before the ring is actually established.
And this is then usually a situation of having like a routing, a merchant, and a spending node in such a ring of fire, or what is the game theory behind this?
I don't know about the game theory behind it, but the purpose or the idea or the benefit from it is that within the ring of fire you would love to have nodes which are highly connected into the network as well, so that you can have like easy or non-fee routing within the ring, and then have an exit point to much more nodes than you would have if you just put the channels by yourself.
Also, the thing is, if you just connect to some random node, and for example you want to optimize for inbound liquidity, then you rebalance that way, but maybe the other peer doesn't want to optimize for this for themselves, so they rebalance again. And then you just rebalance all the time. And so the idea here is to open channels to peers and agree on how they should be balanced.
Yes. Any other question? That was
Sorry, him.
it's just go wherever. I don't care.
Okay, so for the rebalancing, who pays the fees?
The ring pays the fees. So, if the agreement was before the ring was established, there are no fees within the network. Then there are no fees for the rebalancing because the rebalancing goes through the circle.
Oh, okay.
If there was agreed that the channel fees for routing is, I don't know, 1,000 ppm with zero base fee, it's 1,000 ppm. So it was done before the contract, before the ring was established.
Yeah, beside Ring of Fires, what's the best tool for rebalancing in your opinion? Regolancer, LNDG, or what is
I mean,
it?
we will be talking about another method right now. Okay. If you're not participating in the Ring of Fire, there's another method.
Yeah, that's basically next one would be the circular rebalancing. That's basically I would say the oldest one. Just to move some funds through the network to yourself, so that one channel is balanced with more inbound liquidity and the other with less. Probably not that popular anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, with lipa we use this still because we have a lot of channels which are very big. We have a very big channel to async, and if we need more inbound liquidity on another channel, I usually just do a circular rebalancing through this massive channel, and then I got more liquidity on the other side again.
So your total inbound liquidity or outbound liquidity doesn't really change, but it changes on specific channels, and in some cases this might be beneficial. As with this example, if we want to have a lot of inbound liquidity from Async, for example, then a circular rebalancing can help there as well. Yeah. And then the third one is basically moving liquidity from layer 1 to layer 2 or vice versa. There we use services like Loop, for example, just to buy some inbound liquidity or just to swap out or swap in. Yeah.
Does everyone has an idea what the swap is? Yes. We need a microphone here.
Move Bitcoin from on-chain to Lightning and from Lightning to Bitcoin
To the
on-chain.
main chain, yes.
To main chain.
Indeed.
Yes.
That's it.
So why would this be necessary? Any idea?
Yeah, for example, I am a merchant. I receive Lightning Network payments. At I don't know, at certain point I want to convert. I want to move my BTC on chain to have more security for security.
Yes. Very good. And even exchange it back to fiat if you need to pay your bills.
Or maybe yes, to pay supplier, for example.
Indeed. Cool. And I mean, swapping is will also be used. So the normal way to get Bitcoin out of your channel is like close the channel. And with that you have closing fees and you have to establish a new channel again and so on. And the swap services like DZ or Bolts or Loop actually provide this service that you just send the Satoshis on the Lightning Network to them, and then they will do the swap and send it back to you, to your Bitcoin address. With some fees involved and so on, depending on the miner fees, sure, and the swap service itself takes some fees. It's usually about 0.5 to almost 1%, depending on the service. Yes. No, the swap service does not close the channel. Yes.
So that's the reason why you would use that
Yes.
instead of doing it yourself. Okay.
Yes, because it's cheaper to actually loop or to do atomic swaps than close the channels and open the channel again. It's not only faster, even if a Bitcoin transaction is involved, but it's only one. It's not two.
So, in our case, for example, with our business solution, we've established some large channels with popular nodes, as mentioned, like Async, and we don't want to close them. But on the other hand, we pay out to our business customers on chain. So we receive the Lightning funds, and we have to pay them out on chain. So we have to move them to layer 1, and for this we use, of course, swaps. Good. Then let's move on to services.
Sure. As we already mentioned, that for looping or for atomic swaps, we need to have services. Also, there are already mentioned Dizzy, Bolts, and Loop. Also, there are other services. Imagine you are like a merchant and you want to and need inbound liquidity now. There are marketplaces as well, like Magma, who actually provide you with inbound liquidity, Dizzy as well. So you basically pay some Satoshis or sometimes even fiat to set up a channel with this specific service provider in the specific height you need inbound liquidity for. You can also go to companies directly, like Async or like Lightning Labs. I mean, even Lightning Labs does have a liquidity service, as far as I remember. And then talk to them directly and see if you can establish a channel with them and actually then pay for this. Yes, and then there are other services like Bold Observer. I mean, like the name already says, you register your node with the public key and decide on some metrics or some alerting methods. And with this, you don't have to have your own monitoring system on for your node. Board Observer just always watches the node, and with this you get either an email or a Slack notification or whatever if something like the node is not reachable via TCP or that specific channels do not have enough liquidity anymore within the range you just set before, and so on and so on. So there are a lot of services within the Lightning Network providing you with the different kind of needs you as a Lightning node operator already have. There are also some tools. I mean, we were always talking about connectivity, to whom to connect, and to see that the connectivity of your node into the network is as best as it can be. So, yes, but how do you find those channel partners? So there is nobody calls you up and say, oh, you have to connect to me because I have the best channels or whatever. So for this, there are we just put 4 of them here. There's the oldest one I know is 1ML. It's actually a view onto the Lightning Network. Each and every public node in the Lightning Network is registered automatically with 1ML. Amboss is another one. Amboss Space is also a register where you can search for nodes by public key and see how they are connected into the network and so on. But then again, you have to have the public key or the name of the alias of the node.
So, Bastian, are then on these sites these metrics that you've described before? You have these.
It's on LN Node Insight. You find those metrics.
On LN Node
I was
Insight.
coming to that. Sorry. No worries. So, but then there's the Lightning Terminal. The Lightning Terminal actually is a website which already does its own ranking. So it tells you these are the most connected, these are the highest frequented nodes in the network at the moment. It gives you a list of ranking they actually propose to be connected to. And once you found one of the preferred nodes, you get the public key or even the alias. Then you can go to Lightning Node Inside and get your own public key, put it in a web form, and have the possibility to distinguish between those three ranks I showed earlier. When you click again, to see between the next between the ranks I showed earlier, and how your node improves based on those ranks. So the hubness, the centrality, and the in-betweenness. You always get a rank number, and then if you say, okay, if I add a channel to this node, then it does some calculations and shows you if the number increased or decreased, actually, which is quite cool with Lightning Node Inside as well. You can have a look at your channel partners and say, okay, what has happened to those ranks if I remove one of my channel partners from my network, and it gives you a number, a set of numbers as well, and if it's increased or decreased, and then you can have actually kind of a measurement if you want to connect to this node or not. What's actually awesome as well, I mean, you can add 3 nodes, 3 public keys for 3 different nodes, and gives you a Venn diagram, how many channels you share between those nodes and how the ranking improves if you connect to all of them, which is quite cool.
Good.
Any questions to that? We still have some time.
Actually, we talked we talked about it last year, the same subject as this one. And basically, I still think that it's not solved, and I think all of these solutions are too cumbersome because it's mainly manual. And we should find a way to actually, because it makes me think of PageRank. So you can actually have a ranking system and give a node to a node based on all of these metrics. And I don't know if it's possible to actually have a customized rank. So you give your node, and then something calculates your rank among the network, and automatically creates channels given an amount that you set. I don't know if that could be possible, because I know a Pool, which is a marketplace, and it's actually, for me, a good solution, but I think it's not used anymore, or no one is using it. I don't know why. So how do you see the future of this going to improve, basically?
It's a good question. When it comes to auto channel open, at least in the early days of the Lightning Network, at least L&D Lightning Labs wanted to optimize for this. They announced such features, but as far as I know, they were kind of dropped.
Yes. I mean, for balancing, there is auto balancing in L&D, and Core Lightning has this, a similar service integrated into the Lightning integration. From what I see is we set this up for our nodes, and it's like 50%, even 90% of the time it's not working, because you have not set the correct fees for rebalancing or whatever. So even now the fees already are very fluctuating. The mining fees are already fluctuating. If you want to do a swap, you always have to be like punctual with the fees you set in. The ranking system and so on is actually what Lightning Labs tries to do with the Lightning Terminal. They do not tell correctly how they rank it. I kind of tried to find out what the ranking was, but I could not see behind the scenes. But what I do with our node is, if I want to have the capability of a circular rerouting, I usually have a look at Lightning Terminal and see what's the best connected nodes, and see that I can get a channel to them.
And also, again, it depends on what kind of node you want to operate. So if you want to have a routing node, then the betweenness centrality is much more important than a closeness centrality. If you're a merchant or a sending node, then closeness centrality is important. So, yeah, it depends again.
Yes.
So there is an opportunity
To actually build something in this. So it's a startup idea, basically.
Go for it. Any other question?
So I've seen a lot of payments on my node last time for podcasting 2.0, so low side payments. And I thought about that because in the future probably we have even more payments, and it could be that these payments can spam the Lightning Network or certain nodes, because if you have hundreds of payments every minute, it could be a lot of processing. So what do you think about that? Is that a problem, or do we need something to change? So let's say batch these payments in like 10-minute parts, or what do you think about that?
We've tried to stress test our nodes with such scenarios, but we haven't really managed to break them. Basically because we were not able to generate enough load. Well, we didn't buy that much computation power. Of course, if we would have bought a lot of computation power, we would have brought them down. For now, it's sufficient, but what we do currently is basically we can scale. We can scale vertically, so we can give more resources to the node. But I think what's crucial as well is being able to scale the nodes horizontally, and there we certainly have some differences between the different node implementations. So, for example, Eclair was from the get-go designed to scale more horizontally.
Sorry, I don't understand. What is vertically and horizontally scaling?
Vertically is basically you have your machine or your server, and you just put more resources on it. So more RAM, more CPU power. And horizontally is you add more servers.
Okay.
Any other question?
Yes. Thanks. I recently heard about a built-in tool in LND which is called Mission Control. And to be honest, I don't know what it does. Maybe you can explain.
I have to admit, I haven't heard about this.
Okay.
I know about Torque. Torque is also like a node management software which has some monitoring alerting features, but more the monitoring and the alerting is more about availability, and with this, like Bolt server does, sends you messages, and also what Torque does, as far as I remember, helps you with rebalancing and so on. So there are other tools like Write the Lightning, which is more, from my point of view, more an observing tool, because every time I wanted to swap something using either loop or bolts, it was better to do it manually on the terminal than using Write the Lightning for this, because they sometimes do not get the fees right and so on, and so I had to always, most of the time, I had to bump the fees for the swap to actually get this back.
But if you mean the built-in mission control of LND, then it's basically their solution or algorithm which rates your peers and then decides whether a payment should be routed through them or not. So if a peer fails a payment every time, then mission control will monitor this, and for a next payment probably just not include that peer anymore.
Yeah, but it's like a log for your own node, but for yourself, you can't work with it. It's just you have to use other tools to use mission control, the log.
Could be. The only way I've used it before is just to reset it, just to let it forget all the data it gathered, to make sure that that node which I want to have it included, that I want to have to use, is not omitted. Could be that they've added additional parameters. To be honest, I'm not up to date there.
Thanks.
Yeah. First of all, I arrived a little bit late, so maybe you explain what I'm about to. But I'm really interested in the performance of the nodes, and I don't know. You mentioned different implementations. I don't know if you have experience about different implementations, the performance, and also related about the different networks like ClearNet versus Tor. Do you have any recommendations or experience around that?
When it comes to ClearNet on Tor, I just mentioned it earlier. I mean, with no worries. I mean, the nature of Tor is to hide the ID or the identity of a sending and a receiving node. So you go through gateways. You go into the Tor system. Something happens, and there's another gateway who routes it forward. This always comes with a cost of responsiveness, with a cost of latency, and so on. And in the Lightning Network, it is very, very important that a node is very, very responsive, has low latencies. So a node behind or within the Tor network is always a worse choice over a ClearNet one. So if you need very, very fast transactions, if you need low latency, you go for ClearNet. I cannot hear, sorry.
So if your node starts to get better metrics and the centrality and all these, then Tor is going to be a big penalty on the node. Yeah, you cannot scale up on. Okay.
Yes. Also, we experienced this. I think it was the middle of the year that the Tor network was quite flooded with requests, and then your node didn't even respond anymore. And this is how many channels went inactive because they could not be reached via the Tor network. So if you want to have a high performing routing node, Tor is not for you. And when it comes to the different implementations like Core Lightning, Eclair with or LND, I don't have any numbers which one is better performing. I think it's just a preference. We're currently using LND, yes. There was a question earlier. You had one?
Yes. So what do you think about Greenlight in terms of
Wait for the... Thanks.
So what do you think about Greenlight, the new service from Blockstream?
It's a very interesting concept. We're actually working with Greenlight as well through Breeze SDK for our consumer app. Yes. Besides the lipa wallet for business or lipa POS, we are working on a consumer wallet, a Lightning wallet, and this is based on Greenlight together with Breeze SDK.
The concept of Greenlight is actually not to have the node running all the time. They have very, very short ramp-up, startup time. And so the idea here is to have the possibility to start a node based on based on the key, and your device is only a remote signer. So the private keys are still on your device, but somewhere in the cloud is running or is a node ramped up, receiving or asking for a signage, and then shuts down after a while again. More questions? I guess we still have some time. Yes. Over there, please.
Olympus is now released by Zeus.
Olympus.
Another LSP. You also have an opinion on that one?
I just heard about it like the day before yesterday. I haven't had the time to look into it. But as we're currently working with Breeze and them being our LSP for the consumer, for the self-custodian node, self-custodian wallet, as I said, I just have to have a look at it. I have no opinion on that yet.
Okay. Because privacy-wise, it sounds promising, in my opinion. Yeah.
Any other question? Okay, I guess if you want to, can you show the slide again? Sorry. Find us on Twitter. If you have any questions which you think is not suitable for this audience, you can meet us outside and sit down.
It just takes some time.
Okay. Otherwise, lipa.swiss as our website, and we are happy to take your questions, feedback, and anything. Thank you for your.
Thank you.